This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
2 minutes to go. Peach Bowl tied at 24. Texas driving inside Arizona State territory. Box score looks like this. Arizona State 442 yards to 250. Arizona State 25 first downs to 12. As I said in the first segment, I want Texas to hang on because if the number's right, it's going to be fade material big time. And for me, against Oregon or Ohio State, we'll get the opinion of managing editor of vsin.com, Adam Burke, as he joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Adam, Happy New Year. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Happy New Year, guys. I'm good. This has been an interesting game to watch for sure, especially considering all the line movement, and all the line action it looked like towards Texas here this morning.
Yeah, all the way up to 13.5, and now the total here looked like it was going to be a dead under the entire game, in jeopardy as well, depending on what happens here in the final moments. I gave my opinion on Texas moving forward. What are your takeaways with their performance today?
Yeah, I mean, it's not impressive, especially because I was on Clemson, in the first round game there, and they looked pretty good, especially running the football in that one. It's hard to say, right? I mean, they've only run 45 plays in this game. Arizona State's run almost double that. They've run 82. So, Texas hasn't had the ball a ton in this game. Arizona State hasn't had a lot of early down success. They have 23rd down attempts, guys, in this game. So not a lot of success on first and second down for Arizona State here. So I don't know what that means. We'll see if Texas ends up surviving here, but it is definitely a bit of a red flag, especially because you look at an Arizona State team that, I thought that Texas would gash them with the run the way that they did to Clemson. I mean, Kansas State had over 6 yards a carry against Arizona State. UCF, Kansas, their starting running backs both had over 100 yards, and Texas can't run the football here. So that's something that I'm going to have to kind of think about a lot if they are able to move on.
Mitch is onto something, because when I brought up Klubnik 12-1 last week, most passing yards, Clemson's fans said, no way, no, not going to happen. And they go up and down the field against him and how well he played. So if you can't stop Clemson and Arizona State, what do you think the winner of the Rose Bowl is going to do with Gabriel and Howard and all those weapons and firepower?
Well, and of course, look, I mean, it depends on what version of Will Howard and what version of the Ohio State offense we get today, right? I mean, they look completely different in that game against Tennessee. Look at the offense that they should have been all season long.
Yeah.
21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Howard slinging it around. Jeremiah Smith's uncoverable. Like, that was the Ohio State offense that you wanted to see. Is that what we see today? Because if that's the offense we see today and they win, they may shred this Texas defense.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see what version of the Buckeyes offense we end up getting here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then, in terms of the overall number right now, Ohio State favored by 2.5. When they met earlier this year at Autzen in Eugene, they went off as a 3.5-point favorite. They lost by a point. It was super high scoring. The total is 55.5. Do you see a similar game that we had in the regular season today at the Rose Bowl, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, especially when you consider what the last data point was from Oregon's defense. I mean, Penn State ran for 8.7 yards per carry on them. And Ohio State's offensive line is definitely a weakness. We know that. It's been a weakness all season long, but they have two very good running backs in Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. So if the offensive line can get some push, much like we saw Penn State's do to that Ducks defensive front, then Ohio State can be balanced. They can be kind of a two-prong offense as opposed to, kind of using the running game to shorten up the chains and then throw for first downs, stuff like that. So, the other thing about that first game is that, Jordan Burch didn't play for Oregon. So, Ohio State, I think that kind of dictated their game plan. They did a lot of side to side. I really wasn't enamored with what Chip Kelly did early in that game against the Ducks. So we'll see if he tries to take it vertical on him here in this game. And I think based on the success we saw against Tennessee, you might as well go ahead and give that a shot. And if that's the case, Ohio State's going to create some explosives. I don't think their pass rush is going to get there because Gabriel gets the ball out so fast. I tend to agree with a lot of the action we've seen on the over in this game. Not that I bet it, but I tend to agree with this total going up.
Yeah, because Ohio State's defense, I mean, in a lot of categories, they are number one in the entire country. I mean, it's an awesome unit, but I'm looking back right now, the first time they played Oregon, they had basically 500 yards of offense, and Gabriel threw for, it was a very efficient day for him, 341 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, are they going to slow down the Ducks on offense in this game? I mean, perfect weather, Rose Bowl conditions, is going to be probably a really good thing for Oregon's offense.
You would like to think so, because the Oregon game was kind of a turning point for the Ohio State defense, where then all of a sudden they started getting a lot more pressure. Their sack numbers jumped through the roof. They very much dictated the line of scrimmage in their game against Penn State. And obviously we saw them do that against Indiana as well in that regular season game. So the game against the Ducks was kind of a turning point for this defense. And they really rode that wave throughout the remainder of the season. I mean, it's not like Michigan did anything on offense against them. They just couldn't do anything on offense themselves. So the Buckeye defense did get a lot better from that point forward. And there's been some whispers, some reports on the message boards, all those kinds of things about maybe a power struggle between Jim Knowles and defensive line coach Larry Johnson. Knowles wants the defense to line up a little bit differently than Johnson does. Seems like maybe there was a heart-to-heart between the two guys with Ryan Day mediating. Things have changed since that game. So maybe there is a chance that Ohio State's defense looks a little bit better here today.
All right, update here in the Peach Bowl. Texas, they were stopped. It was a 4th down and 10, and they attempted a field goal with 1:39 to play. No good. Sun Devils get the ball back.
Juice!
With 1 timeout and more than 90 seconds here.
Overtime was 18-1.
Before the game started?
Yeah, before. God knows what Arizona State money line was when Texas was laying 25.5 in play. And it was just 11-1, as you mentioned on the air when we came on.
Right.
To start, there was 11-1 take back. They can win the game here, although their kicking situation's a disaster.
Yes, it is.
Early in the trick the tryouts. He said, Dillingham said when they lost to Cincinnati.
Special teams have been an absolute disaster so far today for Arizona State. All right, let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Adam Burke's our guest. Follow him on X at Skating Tripods. Obviously, again today, early morning in New Orleans, very tragic events, 10 people dead in the French Quarter. It's a great city. My heart goes out to all those people involved, obviously. Very unfortunate situation. The game has been postponed from tonight. They think they're going to play tomorrow. They might bump it up. Notre Dame has since flipped to a 1-point favorite. Total is 45.5. What is your opinion on this game, Adam?
Yeah, obviously things much bigger than football. So, sending my best to everybody down there. Love New Orleans. Only been there once. Great town,
awesome.
Great food, great scene, incredible place. So, I think the right decision here to push this game back a day. And, look, I mean, I think when you talk about the handicap of this game, though, what do you do with this game, right? I don't know what Gunnar Stockton's going to do. I don't know how Mike Bobo has changed this offense around because Stockton is, a much shorter guy than Carson Beck. So he's not a guy who's going to stand in the pocket and throw the ball down the field. He's going to have to throw on the move. And so you wonder how much different this playbook is going to look for Georgia, if that maybe helps them, if that hurts them. I don't really know. And I think there are a lot of people who still kind of question how good Notre Dame is because I don't think Indiana ever deserved to be a playoff team. They were going to be because of their record, but they didn't play anybody, as we all know. And when they played somebody, they looked awful. And then, you beat Army and Navy. That's great. They're one-dimensional teams. So I think this is a really, really difficult game to handicap. If Stockton looks good, looks comfortable, I may fire live on the Georgia side. But pre-game, I'd have to lean Notre Dame just because of the grand unknown for the Bulldogs, but it would not be a strong lean at all whatsoever.
Yeah. I can't get the Georgia Tech game out of my head. So if you're looking at Love and Leonard here with a combined 30 rushing touchdowns and what Haynes King did and Georgia Tech going up and down the field, I know Kirby's had a lot of time here, but I don't think that bodes well for the Bulldogs defense then.
No, I think it's a very fair point. You kind of look at some of these data points that maybe appear to be meaningful from the regular season to now. And look, Arizona State started really slow here today, right? Boise State obviously started slow against Penn State. The teams that have had the long layoff kind of taking some time to get back into the flow of the game. So, we'll see if Notre Dame can get out ahead because if they can, with that running game you mentioned, Paulie, they can just kind of lean on Georgia throughout the day. And that's probably their most likely path to victory.
That's not a bad point. And I think maybe Buckeyes first half could be the way to go then, because I was going to ask you about the layoff too. But maybe that's a good point, Adam, because all these teams came out flat.
Yep. Also, that total 45.5 in the Sugar Bowl. I know a lot of people are making the case for the under. I get it too, right? Everything that we're talking about here. Both defenses are solid. Backup quarterback. What if Notre Dame can't run the football overall? Do you expect Riley Leonard to make plays at quarterback? I really don't. I could see this game being 17-13 tops.
Yeah, look, at this stage of the game, right, you're not trying to preserve anybody for the course of the regular season. So I kind of thought with Ohio State against Tennessee, like maybe Will Howard would run more. Turned out they didn't need him to, but maybe he runs a little bit more here against Oregon. Maybe Riley Leonard does the same thing for Notre Dame. Definitely a possibility. I think the tough thing about the total is, like, Carson Beck wasn't playing very well this season anyway, right? So Stockton could potentially be an upgrade, or maybe he has a backbreaking turnover deep in his own end, something like that. So I guess total is, kind of a high variance type of bet to make as well.
Yeah, great stuff. Follow Adam on X. He's at Skating Tripods, and he does a phenomenal job every day on the website. He's the managing editor at vsin.com. Thank you, Adam. Good luck tonight and this week, and Happy New Year.
Absolutely, guys. Go Bucks.
There you go. He joined us on the Progressive guest line. I took Ohio State money line, so it's fine. Go Bucks.
It looks like targeting here.
This
could be a big call. On sports betting and trading, understanding probability, the ultimate game changer. Unlock the secrets of high probability trading with Todd Bubba Horowitz, a former floor trader and sports bettor. 45 years of experience. BubbaTrading.com/VSiN. Promo code VSiN500 to save 500. BubbaTrading.com/VSiN. Promo code VSiN500.
Win, lose up next. We'll update NFL awards. We have a new odds-on favorite in one market, and it escalated quickly.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Can you imagine?
We are live. Happy New Year. Downtown Las Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is the spot. Peach Bowl in overtime. Arizona State, Texas tied at 24 apiece. Arizona State had a 4th and 1. They picked it up by about an inch. So now they have it at the Texas 15-yard line. And we'll keep you abreast of that game here. We start the hour talking National Football League with the great Sal Paolantonio from ESPN as he is on the Progressive guest line. Sal, Happy New Year as always. Great to talk to you, my friend. How are you?
Mitch and Paulie, Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to everybody at Follow the Money and VSiN. And thank you for allowing me to contribute to Follow the Money on VSiN all year long. I've had a great run with you guys. It's been fantastic, and let's keep it going in 2025.
That would be excellent.
You know it.
We look forward to it every single week. So the Eagles announced that Saquon Barkley, even though the all-time rushing record is within distance for one more game, they announced that he is going to be sitting in Week 18. What did you think overall of that decision?
Well, I think it's a smart decision, and I think it's a decision that they were going to come to all along. Once they decided to pull him in the fourth quarter, so early in the fourth quarter against Dallas when he reached 2,000 yards, you knew that it was pretty clear that they were not going to play him against the New York Giants on Sunday. I think there's many things at play here, but the most important thing is this team had a very early bye. They had a bye in Week 5. They've been playing for 12 straight weeks. They've had a lot of stress on this team. We've talked about it on this show all year long. Quarterback and receiver having issues, defense having issues. Quarterback goes into concussion protocol. This team has had to be resilient all year long, and they've had to play football for 12 straight weeks. So I think the consensus among many of the veterans was we need a bye, we need a rest because we're going to have to go back and play in the playoffs in the first week in January and right away get back at it. I think the second thing is you got to go back to last year. Last year, in the last week of practice before the playoff game in Tampa, A.J. Brown got hurt. And A.J. Brown did not play in that playoff game against Tampa, and they really missed A.J. Brown. They were not the same offense. So I think those two factors were huge.
Very good. How would you treat it if you're Harbaugh, McVay, where you're in the playoffs, but then seeding matters or who you could avoid? I know McVay said they're going to start Garoppolo, but you talk to all these players and coaches. How would you treat that if you're the Chargers and you're already in, but seeding could be on the line?
Well, the players want to play, but, the coaches have to do what's best for the whole football team. Listen, the Ravens at home could beat the Browns with me and you at quarterback.
Yes. Yep.
Their defense is just too good, and they have a good offensive line with Derrick Henry, so they don't necessarily need to play all of the starters. I mean, the last time I looked, they were a 3-touchdown favorite in that game. Yeah, so the Browns are a team that's trying to find a stadium outside of Cleveland. They've got to try to find themselves a quarterback for the future. And they've got a lot of their golf clubs packed already.
What are you hearing about the situation in New England against Buffalo? Of course, the Bills are going to be sitting people outside of probably the first quarter. I think the starters might go that long. and then they'll hit the bench for the rest of the game. What do the Patriots want to do, Sal, as they are currently holding on to the number 1 overall pick in the draft?
Well, I know Gerard Mayo pretty good, and I know that organization pretty good. And they're not a tank team. They're not a tank organization. He's not a tank coach. They're going to play hard. They're going to play everything. They've already got a quarterback, right? So, if I'm the Patriots sitting there where they are, they're probably going to trade out at any rate and try to entice somebody to move up because they got Drake May. So I expect them to play hard in that football game.
Well, listen, I love talking to you every week, and I love every week you've done the got it, have it game. This is the biggest regular season game in NFL history. I mean, to think that the loser Sunday night is going to win 14 games and get the 5 seed and be a wild card, I can't fathom that. What do you think of the ultimate gotta have it game Sunday night with Minnesota and Detroit, and who do you like?
I like the Lions. I like the Lions because all year long at home, they've been a very high-scoring football team. I like the Lions because the coach just infuses them with a sense of gotta have it every week. I just like the Lions and their offensive operation all the way through. I think that their defense is good enough to handle the big firepower that the Vikings have. But the Lions being at home, I think, is significant, and I like the Lions. And it's only, 2.5?
Yes.
So, the Lions will win by a score. I think they'll win by a score.
Side note, Peach Bowl, Arizona State with a touchdown in overtime, extra point good. They lead 31-24. And now it's Texas's chance to score, and they have it at 1st and 10 at the ASU 25-yard line, and that pass is incomplete. Okay, so you like the Lions. I like hearing that because I have several Lions futures, Sal. Will the defense have any chance of getting stops? I mean, this has just been a sieve, unfortunately, with all the injuries.
Yeah, no, the Lions are going to have to outscore the Vikings. I agree with you. The Lions are going to have to outscore them, and they're going to have to blitz Sam Darnold, in this game. They're going to have to take some chances. They're going to have to blitz him. And that's the way they're going to get stops.
The team that's best built, set up to beat Kansas City and go in there and win. Are you still staying with the Ravens?
I am.
Good for you.
I am staying with the Ravens as the best team to go into Kansas City. I think defensively they're getting better. We've been up and down all year about the Ravens. At the very beginning of the year, I was skeptical. They stumbled a little bit. But they've got their act together. But here's the thing, gentlemen. Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, really blew it against Kansas City last year by, basically giving up on Derrick Henry on the run game. So they go out and they get Derrick Henry, and they better utilize him. They better utilize him in the playoffs. Don't play hero ball with Lamar Jackson. That's the one thing you do not want to do. You don't want to get in a shootout with Kansas City. Some of what Terry Bradshaw said on Fox is true, that Kansas City scores too fast, that they throw the ball too quickly, and that allows the other team to get the time of possession necessary to get back on the field and grind it through. And the Ravens can grind some drives through, and they can do that with Derrick Henry if the big F, capital I, capital F, if Todd Monken basically gets religion and learned his lesson from abandoning the run game last season. That's the bottom line. If they do that, they have a very good chance of going in there and beating the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, it's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Sal Paolantonio, ESPN. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. I know it's only Wednesday, Sal, and so Week 18 can be a tad tricky. Do you have a super strong opinion on any of these games at this point outside of some of those that you've talked about so far?
I think the biggest one that I have a strong opinion on is the Broncos.
Okay.
Now, I know they're laying 10, but the Chiefs are probably going to rest everybody. And I wouldn't be afraid to lay the 10 on the Broncos in that game. Yeah, that's a strong one that I like quite a bit. The other is the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are going to boat race the Saints. I think they'll shut them out at home, and they'll probably score 30 points on them. So I like the Buccaneers quite a bit. Those are two big favorites at home that I like against teams. One team is not so good. The other team is going to be resting their players.
Yeah, very good. Sal, that was awesome. We love talking to you. Great way to kick off the new year. Happy New Year, and we'll do it again next week. Thank you.
Listen, it's totally my pleasure. I was coming off the field on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field, going into the Dallas tunnel, the visitors tunnel, and a bunch of guys were screaming, "We love you on Follow the Money, Sal Pal. We love you on Follow the Money." I said, "Thank you. I'll tell Mitch and Paulie that."
We love hearing that. Thanks for sharing. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
That's great. Okay, what a development here. It was 4th down for Texas in overtime, trailing 31-24.
And 13. Wasn't it? There was a false start.
It was a false start. So I have 4th and 12 at the Arizona State 23-yard line, and we're watching the replay of it right now. And no, it was back. It was the 28-yard line.
He's wide open.
Ewers back to pass, has a guy. What am I missing? There's a receiver for Texas who splits the secondary, is wide open by 5 yards. Ewers doesn't. He hits him right in stride. Touchdown. 31 apiece. We're going to double overtime. What happened to the Arizona State defense, guys? Game's over.
Oh, my God.
Where were you?
They had it. Sark didn't go for the win. That was interesting.
Oh, my God. I can't believe what I'm watching.
Well, how about the previous drive? Arizona State's in 3rd and 15. And Levitt picks it up on the ground.
Yeah, that's another one.
And they made 1st and goal, and then Scadaboo takes it in. I mean, this is mad. Come on.
Texas was doing nothing on this final drive.
It was 3rd and 18, I think, and it was 2nd and 18. He threw like a 2-yard, 3-yard pass. Then the false start happened, and the guy's wide open.
It's bad execution. It was bad play calling. We're watching the game live as we're talking to Sal Pal and writing down tidbits. Okay, he loves the Lions. Okay, the Broncos big time this weekend. And all of a sudden, there's a guy streaking down the middle of the field wide open by 5 yards. I'm like, hey, wait a second. They're at the 28-yard line. They had no chance to score here. It was dead.
Okay.
The game's over with.
Okay, double overtime now. We're this close.
Oh!
We're this close to the buffoonery and nonsense of a playoff game being decided by the 2-point crap. Can you believe?
And still no kickoff in Pasadena.
Ruins the sunset. You can't do it.
Yeah.
The sunset's ruined.
This is incredible. Okay.
Touchdown. Oh, boy.
What, is that already the first play?
Yeah, Texas scores.
All right, 37-31. What a game. By the way, over, never in doubt. So we'll update you on the Peach Bowl and get you set for the Rose Bowl next here on VSiN.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
We got ourselves a good old blowout at the Granddaddy. Ohio State 17, Oregon zip, 3rd and 8 for the Ducks. Coming up on 12 minutes to play in the third quarter. They keep running the ball.
Bizarre play calling. Yeah. Down 17-0. Let's establish the run.
Yeah, you going to catch him off guard?
Yeah, 3rd and long again.
Quick pass. Yep. At some point, so it's short here. It's going to be about 4th and 2, 4th and 3 from around midfield. At some point, you're going to start going for this stuff.
Well, he's got to go for this.
Nope.
Yeah, he's going. You are
they are, okay.
You are not punty from midfield. If they don't get this, oh boy, school's out.
Oh, it's 24-0 if they don't get this.
They can't stop them.
Yeah. They've had no answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll keep you updated on the Rose Bowl. Been ugly so far, obviously. Golf is back this week. I could not be more excited.
Hey,
I love betting on this sport.
Yeah, baby.
It's also, give it a couple of minutes this weekend on TV. I know there's a lot going on, but the course is immaculate on Maui. And our buddy Indy Jeff Seeley joins the program now. He's on X at Cutmaker Jeff, the Cutmaker podcast as well. Happy New Year, pal. How are you?
Happy New Year, guys. While we're sweating some football here, yeah, we got to prepare. And as you said, Mitch, if you like entertaining golf, I mean, this weekend, this is going to be a birdie fest. So we're going to see a lot of birdies, a lot of low scores. I think it'll be a fun weekend to mix it with some football.
All right.
Tell me about the course, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so again, we're at Kapalua, the Plantation course. It's a par 73, but it is really long, 7,600 yards. And guys, in general, this is the easiest course on tour. So super wide fairways, easy to find the fairway. The only thing that can be a little challenging here is putting. The greens are huge, and so really it's going to be who makes the most kind of long-range putts. and then who kind of has the best wedge game from there. So we've seen a few years ago, you guys might recall, Cam Smith had never played here before, and he came out and shot like 32 under, which was the tournament record. But think about that. That's what we could be looking at, is a 30 to 35 under. Would not surprise me at all this week. So if you want to see fireworks, this is the tournament.
Yeah, it can get a little ridiculous, to be honest. Right?
For sure. Oh, yeah.
But it was a great tournament last year. Came down to the wire, and plenty of guys were in the mix to win that thing. So then if putting is the key here, you think it's going to be a birdie fest, like who sticks out? Which guys do you want to have a piece of?
Well, I mean, obviously we'll start at the top of the board, right? And so Xander, with no Scotty, we know Scotty withdrew here. And so with no Scotty, really Xander really jumps out. He and Morikawa jump out the top of the board. So in Xander's case, he really excels at these no-cut events. We know he can make tons of birdies. We know he can go as low as anyone. Coming off the best year of his career, I still think if you can find, plus 550 or so on Xander, I still think there's a little bit of value there because he would win this tournament. If it was played 100 times, he'd win it 20 times, absolutely. So I don't even mind playing Xander. I think he's absolutely going to be in the mix. Then Morikawa, he's 11-1. He's finished top 5 or better in this event than all the last 3 years. He's 2-1 to finish top 5 now. Again, I like that. With Morikawa, it's really kind of weird, though, guys. Last year, he finished 5th and lost 2.5 strokes putting. The year before that, he finished 2nd because he gained 5 strokes putting here. And in 2022, he finished 5th and was average putting. So you have no idea what you're going to get out of Morikawa with the putter, but we know tee to green, he's really, really, really strong here. Even if he's a little below average with the putter this week, I think he can find his way in the top 5. So Morikawa top 5, something I like, and I am going to play. I did play Xander to win. So those are two guys at the top of the board I'm interested in there.
All right, and you said Morikawa around 2-1, or maybe even a little bit better to finish top 5 is a bet that you really, really like?
Yeah, I do like that. I do.
Okay, let's move down the board a little bit more now. Give us a guy here a little bit down in the 30-1 range who you're looking at.
Yeah, guys, I bet Ben on DraftKings at 45-1 earlier this week. He's already way down to 30. My favorite bet on him of the whole week is Ben on top 20. I bet it even money. You can still find it minus 120. For years, we've known Ben on as a guy who can't putt, but he's actually been the best putter in Hawaii over the last 2 years. So for whatever reason, he putts very, very well here. As I mentioned, the fairways are a mile wide. He's 13th in birdies and 6th in eagles from the fairway. We know he's going to be in the fairway over his last 12 rounds in Hawaii. He's hitting the ball as long as anyone on tour now. And again, he's finished 12th, 4th, and 2nd in his last 3 events in Hawaii. So to say he's comfortable here is an understatement. The last time he teed it up, he beat Tom Kim in a playoff in the Korean Championship on the DP World Tour just a few months ago. Tons to like about Ben on this week. I've played him ladder bets, top 20, top 10, top 5 to win. But I think my favorite play on the week is Ben on top 20.
Jeff Sherman at the Westgate likes Davis Thompson. I know you talked to him. What do you think of that at 60-1?
No, I like Davis Thompson. He's in really good form. There's a lot to like, but there's a guy who's similar, not quite as high as Davis Thompson, but a guy who I think is actually even a little bit hotter than Max Greiserman this week that I'm going to play. Fantastic putter and a top 20 driver of the golf ball. So since late October. In the swing season, Greiserman has 3 swing season top 10 finishes to go with back-to-back second-place finishes at the Wyndham, and we all know the 3M is a freaking birdie fest. Mm-hmm. He took 2nd there. So we got a guy who we know can bomb it, we know can putt. He gained just over a stroke off the tee in those events and 6 strokes putting in those events. So, again, here's a guy who's got a rare combination of really strong driver, really good putter. Like another guy who I like ladder bets this week, top 20, top 10, and so on. I think the trajectory for this guy is just straight up. I'm really bullish on this guy all season long.
That's Max Greiserman. Okay, by the way, updated the Rose Bowl. Long touchdown for the Buckeyes, 23-0. Jeremiah Smith again, who now has surpassed 150 yards receiving with 10:28 to go in the second quarter. God. And to get 150 plus today, he was 5-1. I dropped the ball on that one. I saw the comment, the headline is, I dare Oregon to play man-to-man. I forgot about it. And that was smart by me.
What a way to go out.
Oh,
Undefeated 1 seed. Here we go. Rose
all this
Bowl,
time
the
off.
Game's over. 10 minutes. Oh, God.
Yeah, absolute bloodbath.
Oh.
Okay. The bomb of the week.
Yeah.
We haven't talked to you in a while, but if you gave me like 3 guesses, I might be able to come up with this guy, Jeff. Who is it?
Well, guys, listen. I mean, last time he was here, he was 12th. He was 21st the year before that. If you need a guy just to rip it and make birdies, Sepp Straka is a guy, right? He's a top 10 putter. I mentioned you got to make 10 to 15 foot putts. He's a top 10 putter from that range, believe it or not. He's top 10 in birdies made from the fairway. He's going to be in the fairway. So another guy that, again, you throw some piece of money on him to 75 to 1, but another guy I like a lot, again, is a top 20 play. You could find him at plus money there. So take a look at Sepp Straka. We're also a really good play in DFS this week. I don't think he'll be very highly owned. And if you're playing DraftKings DFS, I think he's a terrific guy to look at.
What do you make of Bhatia this week? Anything on him at all?
You know, I haven't played him. I like Bhatia, but in general, I think he's the guys that I'm kind of flip-flopping around in DFS lineups for Bhatia and Thigala, and I actually like Thigala a little bit better than Bhatia, guys who are fairly in the same range.
Yeah, Thigala is the guy that I'm looking at as well. I'll give you one here. You haven't mentioned him yet. He closed the season strong last year. And now the price point here with this field to me is not high enough. But what do you think of Maverick McNeely's chances this weekend?
You know, I know some people who really, really like him. And you're right about in regard to close the season strong. And he is traditionally a great putter. So there's a lot to like about him. I'm more in a field this strong. Yep. I don't know that I want to play him, as an outright. But I mean, certainly, yeah. Again, 45 to 1 is I mean, it's okay. Frankly, I like Davis Thompson a little better right now. He's down to 40 as I'm looking at this. I like Greiserman a little better just because of what I've seen recently. But he's a guy that I think that he can end up. I honestly think he could have a career year, right? If he continues where he was, I just want to see it a little more to begin the season. But I could definitely come around to McNeely as the season goes on. I think there are certainly guys in that range. I like him better than Day. I like him way better than Harmon. But here's another guy. Like, when was the last time you saw Max Homa 55 to 1?
Great point.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean,
yes.
That's just a question of, like, can he get it back together? Because you might not ever find this price this low again on Max Homa. And so he's a guy, I think, that if you want to take a flyer on a guy who's just pure talent, Max Homa's as good as anybody.
Yeah. You know what? I might be looking for best prices I can find on Homa and McNeely. Not again with McNeely to win this thing against this field. Maybe not at that number, but like a top 10, maybe a top 20. Okay, now we're talking at a nice plus price. Follow Jeff on X. We love having him on, breaking down golf every single week. He's at Cupmaker. Jeff, Happy New Year, pal. Thanks for the time today. We appreciate that.
Thanks, fellas. Talk soon.
Yeah, be good.
You're the man.
There you go. He joined us on the Progressive Guest Line.
Buckeyes 21.5 in play. Are you serious?
You want to take a little Oregon?
No, I don't. I also forgot I had Texas on a teaser. How about that? It won by 8. So I got. Are you serious?
What'd you tease him down to?
Put that down. 5, 6.
Okay.
Whatever. Yeah, when it was early in the week.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, here's the thing.
This is ridiculous.
Look at him. He's
wide open.
He's wide open by 10 yards.
It goes back to what you were saying earlier, though. You're going to track meet here. What's the run on first down, run on second down? Put Gabriel in third and long. I mean, you're down. They were doing this when they were down 2 scores.
Right. I called that out immediately.
Because they're going to bring.
Guys,
they're going to unleash hell. I know you're going against the number 1 scoring defense. They're going to bring the heat.
If you can't, you got to be within like 10 at halftime.
Oh my gosh. It's 24 rip.
What has changed?
How many points are they going to score
since they played in Autzen, right? That was 32-31. Seriously, like, does the time off mean this much?
It does, yeah. Look at it. Look how bad it's been.
Here you go. Jeremiah Smith on Monday. So I'm just letting everybody know right now that if you play man Wednesday, we're taking a shot. Called him out. Dared him to do it. Where was I at? I saw the headline. I made a note of it.
Yeah.
Come on, Mitch.
Or hate
it's
Ashbury.
20. Good resolution, so a good start to the year. All right. We'll dive into, updated live numbers on this game as it continues. They're running the ball again. I give up.
What are you doing?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
The granddaddies had better days. Ohio State all over Oregon. 34-0 first half. Yikes. VSiN host Matt Youmans joins the program now. You know, here's the thing. Our show is going to end in a half an hour. Is going to go home. And why would I watch a second half? Matt Youmans on the program now. Yeah. What are you thinking here, Matt? I bet Ohio State money line for various reasons, but who saw this coming?
And I can't believe. I mean, Oregon comes out today looking like this year's Purdue team. Seriously, this is the number one seeded team in the bracket, down 34-0. So the reason to watch in the second half, I guess, would be if you live bet it. I just took, for the hell of it, I took Oregon plus 30.5, something I never thought I'd be saying today. I just took 30.5 points with Oregon. And I think the Ducks, there's got to be some sort of momentum shift at some point in the second half where Dylan Gabriel gets some, at least makes the score somewhat respectable, and they put a couple drives together. First of all, I bet Oregon plus 3 and over the total of 55. I'm hoping Oregon can put some points on the board to help this score get over 55 today, and it's not happening so far. It's just ridiculous. I think it was 170 yards to 11 right out of the gate. And, you know, I did think, and I said I thought the 3.5-week layoff could be detrimental to the Ducks. And now you got to wonder, you know, about Georgia with the big layoff, and because 3.5 weeks is too long, especially when you're playing a team that gained a lot of confidence in a win 10 days prior. And this is it sounded weird to say it at the time, and I had to think it through, but I think the loss to Michigan might have been the best thing to happen to Ohio State in a weird way, because they got their play calling right. Chip Kelly and Ryan Day pulled their heads out of it, and they got their play calling right. They gained a lot of confidence. They got their swagger back in that win against Tennessee. And this is a totally different Ohio State team than you saw on that last Saturday in November against Michigan.
Well, it's not just Oregon. I mean, they got it happen to Boise, and it happened to Arizona State as well. How these teams have played off the bye. So this is, but and then the other thing is, Lanning continues to run the ball on first and second down every single drive, and they get in third and long and can't pick one up. So we're going to an afternoon game now tomorrow. What do you think of Notre Dame, Georgia? Notre Dame now favored.
Yeah, and the betting market likes Notre Dame, and you can't argue with this angle. You're going to bet against the team that's had the long layoff, and that's Georgia. You know, I like Notre Dame anyway. I bet the Irish at 12-1 and 10-1 to win the college football playoff, and they've got a dynamic rushing attack. When Riley Leonard has it going, he's playing like a poor man's Josh Allen. He can look pretty good. And then you got Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, who are big-time playmakers, explosive running backs. We saw the 98-yard run by Love against Indiana. Now, the Notre Dame offense is going to have to play at a higher level than it did against the Hoosiers. Aside from that long run by Love, there were not many explosive plays from the Irish in that game. I heard Chris Bear-Fleek talking about an insider who said, hey, Gunnar Stockton, the Georgia quarterback, is better than people think, and that don't underestimate him. So I'm not going to underestimate him here. And, you know, he's had 3 weeks to take reps with the first-team offense. But, man, this is going to be a lot of pressure on him in his first career start. I do lean Notre Dame in this game, but my bet is basically on the Irish to win the playoff at 12-1 or 10-1. I'm not going to bet this pregame. I'm probably going to live bet it. As we've seen in a lot of these games, live betting is a better way to go a lot of times anyway. And I did play under the total of 45. I think it's going to be a low-scoring type of grinder where both teams are going to run the ball a lot more than throw it.
Okay, NFL now, if we have some inflated spreads here. How about the Chiefs with Carson Wentz catching 11 points against Denver?
Yeah, 11 seems like a bit of a high number. I know the market's come down to 10.5 at a lot of spots today, but Andy Reid has a history of sitting his starters out in the last week of the season. He's actually won, I think, I would say it's happened 5 times, and I think he's won 3 of the 5 games and covered 4 of the 5. And, hey, Carson Wentz in there is going to play with point to prove. He's not going to lay down. And it's just a high number for Denver Broncos team that's not putting up, let's say, doesn't have an explosive offense. It's a high number for the Broncos to cover. And you can only sit so many games. I heard Nick Saban, Bill Belichick mentioning things like this recently. You know, I think people overrate the resting starters angle sometimes in Week 18 because it's not a college football team where you have 100 guys dressed. You can only really rest about 8 to 10 starters, and the Chiefs are going to rest some key guys, but I don't think they're going to lay down. I don't really buy into the theory that the Chiefs want to make sure they lay down and keep the Bengals out of the playoffs. I don't think they're afraid of the Bengals getting into the playoffs. I'm not saying the Chiefs are going to win the game. I took 11 because I do like to take these numbers in Week 18 when it feels like there's an overreaction to starters resting.
Okay, so can you explain the number then in the Seattle Rams game? Why has it been beefed up to where it's at right now with the Seahawks as the favorite?
So it doesn't really make sense to me. I think the Rams are going to have one offensive line starter out, Sean McVay said, and obviously Matthew Stafford's going to be out. I don't know if Puka Nacua is playing. Have you guys heard his status? Because I don't think Sean McVay has clarified exactly who's setting out. I do love the Stafford-Puka Nacua connection. I'm not sure if Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on the same page with the receivers. But, hey, Jimmy G's auditioning for a job too. And he's one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league still. So I just don't understand this number going from 3 to 6.5 when there appears to be no incentive on the side of the Seahawks. They're eliminated from the playoffs. Is Geno Smith even going to play all 4 quarters? I don't know. So what is the motivation for the Seahawks? And I think this number is an overreaction at 6.5. You asked me to explain it. I really can't. I don't know why this number is this high.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Rams.
The whole thing's bizarre. Why, like we talked about on the pregame show Monday, why does McVay not want to win this game? Because if they lose and Tampa wins, you got to beat the Minnesota-Detroit loser. And then if you win, you probably got to play Minnesota-Detroit winner. I don't get it.
Yeah, we talked. And this whole thing's kind of a mystery to me, Paul. And we talked about it in the pregame show. You want to lock, if you're the Rams McVay, you want to lock up the 3 seed. And if you lose this game, you're going to drop to 4, and you're going to play that NFC North combination of Lions and Vikings, and that's what you don't want. So I really don't understand why the Rams are sitting guys out and willing to lose this game. So none of it really makes sense. But I'm going to play the Rams and take the points. I think this number is really inflated.
All right, probably the biggest game in regular season NFL history, Sunday night. Vikings, Lions. The team's going to get a wild card and a 5 seed with 14 wins. Nuts. What do you think here with Minnesota and Detroit?
There's so much attrition and so many injuries on the Detroit defense. I just don't know how long this D can keep it together. And I did see some good news for the Lions that Alex Anzalone, the linebacker's got a shot to come back and play. And I think he might be their best run stopper. So that would be a positive if he can get back on the field. But you're talking about the Detroit defense is missing at least 8 significant players. And, Paul, I saw you tweeting about it during the Monday night game, how the Detroit defense couldn't get a stop, and this is continue. And it was the first 5 drives by the 49ers with 4 touchdowns, and it probably would have been 5 touchdowns, but the last drive before half, they ran out of time and had to attempt a field goal that was, I believe, was missed. So it could have easily been 5 drives and 5 touchdowns for the 49ers.
Yep.
So when you look ahead to this game, I think the Lions, I'm not saying Dan Campbell did the wrong thing by trying to win that game. That's just his attitude. He's a different animal. He's going to approach it that way.
Yeah.
But the Lions put a lot into that game on Monday night. And, by the way, they won the first meeting, obviously, against the Vikings. And I love the underdog in conference revenge situations like this. I think the value here is with the Vikings +3, and that's what I'm playing.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be on that side as well, Matt. So, anyway, you're coming up usually on VSiN Primetime, which follows us for 4 hours. Von Tobel, Tim Murray as well, but Tim Murray was in today. You can follow Matt on X. He's at Matt Humans 24/7. Happy New Year, pal. Thanks for the time. Best of luck this week.
See you in a few minutes. Thank you.
There you go. He joined us on the Progressive Guest Line. Ducks driving, 3rd down, 9 seconds to go, second quarter. 34-0 Buckeyes, and where are they at? Inside the 15, I believe?
Yes.
In this spot?
Good tweet from Pat Ford. He was at the game. This has entered the Stanford, Iowa zone. McCaffrey's evisceration of the Hawkeyes 9 years ago. It was 35-0 at halftime, 38-0 early in the third quarter. I think McCaffrey had a long touchdown, second play of the game.
Yeah.
Man,
I remember his day. I don't remember that score getting out of control like that. So Oregon completes the pass down to the 5-yard line. They'll take a timeout here. Are they going to kick the field goal?
You got to take the points, Mitch.
You got to go for the touchdown.
You got to take the points, Mitch.
That was actually said last night on the broadcast before the Boise kicker came out for his first attempt.
Who said that? You got to take that. The guy said you got to take the points.
I don't remember who was on the game.
4th and 2, 45-yarder.
Take the points right away.
12-point dog.
Yep.
Barry Sanders in the backfield.
And he comes out and he misses it by 40 yards to the left.
Yes.
Take the points.
You got to take the points.
Because it's, as always, it's automatic.
That's the best point. That's the best part. They always leave that out. Like the extra point, and no problem in the NFL. Oh, the 40-yard, you got to take the points.
Sure, of course, it's automatic. Yeah, they're not going to miss. Come on.
Yeah, ask Cade York.
Guys never miss chip shots. They never miss 45-yarders. They never miss extra points. It's easy. Put them out there. Put the points on the board. All right, what did the Ducks do here? With 3 seconds to go before halftime, trailing 34-0.
He's going.
In-pocket plays coming up next.